I've been feeling kind of off lately, and I don't know what it is or what's been causing it, but I've honestly just been feeling lost. You see, I'm the sort of person who's always known what I wanted out of my life. I've always been very sure of the things I held dear, the dreams I was chasing. When I was a kid, in school, whenever the class was asked what they wanted to do as grown ups, I always had an answer, the same answer. Since I was a kid, I've always known I wanted to be an author. I wanted to write books. When you know what you want, there's an advantage, a sureness you can bring to everything you say and do. But for me, it's been troubling knowing what I want. In a way, it feels like my life has no meaning unless I'm making progress. When I can't see the path, I feel lost and confused and depressed. It's like I know what I'm capable of. Everyone does, really, and so I have high expectations. Yet, as I've seen myself try and fail time and again, as I've seen myself struggle and fight and burn out with nothing to show for it, I've started to lose faith. It's like, in a way, I've gotten so caught up in my own expectations, I've lost sight of what it was really all about. The innocent passion for art and expression which once spurred me, nowadays, it's like I only let myself feel happy if I'm making progress. It only means something if I can feel that my goals are getting closer. A few years ago, when I was a bit younger, entering into my sophomore year of high school, I began to develop some specific autoimmune condition. Now, I don't want to get too technical or discuss it all in depth, but at that point, a lot changed for me. I withdrew from my education, started school online, stopped socializing much, and generally just dropped off the face of the planet. Suddenly, I had no friends really. I had no clear direction. Even school, which was supposed to be stabilizing, suddenly felt like a chore I had to motivate myself to do. I stopped investing in my online classes. I stopped doing my schoolwork at all. Eventually, I just dropped out of it all. I got my GED at 16 and I never looked back. Since then, and up till now, it's felt like I had nothing to show for the years of my life. I had invested in very few people, developed very few friendships, and had very little to do in the day to day. At that point, I pushed everything else out of mind and dedicated myself fully and completely to the pursuit of my dreams. Every day was about building myself into the person I wanted to be, learning languages, working on my book, starting on YouTube. I'm not going to pity myself for the choices I made, and I don't think I was wrong to make them. But the truth is that with every decision, there's some sort of sacrifice. Most of the time, it didn't get to me, but seeing I was missing out on a high school experience, missing out on those different things, it would get to me sometimes. I felt like because I had chosen to give up entirely certain aspects of my adolescence, that I ought to be rewarded by the progress I would make in my life. Instead, I just felt a pressure, a need to make it all worth it, to outgrow my conflicted feelings and achieve anything and everything I wanted to. In a way, every time I would try and burn out or my health would hold me back, it was discouraging. It hit me hard. And alongside the battle I was fighting to understand my health issues, going to doctors and doing different tests, all of it just began to weigh me down. Last year there was a turning point. I was at a real low point, deep in a rut in my life. But for whatever reason, I decided I was through with feeling sorry for myself, through with eating like crap and feeling like crap and pitying myself for the time I was wasting. Despite feeling as bad as I did, I went and I got a job at a health food store. I learned everything I could from my coworkers and from customers, and I spent all of my money on supplements or on groceries. I eventually found a diet that worked, which really helped me to feel better. I wasn't 100% better or anything, but it was a change, a real, meaningful change, and for that I was grateful. Last year I made a lot of progress in my life. I started this YouTube channel, I got my health under control after years of fighting, I sold everything I owned and traveled the world. I broke my wrists, I came home, and now I'm here, at the start of a new year, with a new direction. But I somehow feel more lost and more confused than ever. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful to be sure, thankful in a way how much more I have going for me now than I did. But there's something else, another thing I'm feeling which is undeniable and unnerving to me. For the first time in a long time, I really feel lost. And it's like this feeling has always been there, always confused me. But lately it's been worse. And in a way it's because before, I'd always had my goals, my dreams, and my desires to ground me. Now I'm not so sure. Now I don't know what I want. I don't know if I really care. I'm not quite sure what the feeling is, but it's like All at once and out of nowhere, my dreams and desires are gone, and now I feel for the first time a bit directionless. A few weeks ago, a friend of mine brought me a big opportunity, a sales job where I'd be leaving my home state and I'd work for the summer in Arkansas. For 6 months, I'd be working tirelessly, making good money, but sacrificing practically all of my free time. I know that by doing this job, I won't have the time I need to make significant progress on everything I'm managing. But the hope is, the idea is that I'll make enough money in 6 months to get ahead, and I'll have time to pursue the things I really care about. A few days ago, I put in my letter of resignation at this job I've been working. It's a night shift, and the schedule I'm on has made it difficult to attend morning meetings and sales training for my next job. So right now I'm not working. I'm in a place between jobs with all the time in the world. Yet with all that time, I found it hard to find the motivation to write, or work on YouTube, or learn some Spanish. The other day I went into the office to notarize some papers for the summer, and I got a haircut, and I went home and sat down at my desk, and I just stared at the wall. I was thinking really deeply about what I had to get done. Every commitment I'd made with myself, all of the goals I had, and all of the steps I would take to reach them. I hadn't made a real YouTube video in a while. I hadn't made substantial progress in my book in months. I thought to myself, what have you even been doing, that you have so little to show for it all? The energy in my room was stifling, so I decided to leave. I went to the library, sat down at a desk, and opened my Chromebook. Before me was a couple pages of the newest draft of my book. This specific chapter I couldn't seem to get right. Somehow I didn't feel very inspired to write, and in fact, it sounded like the thing I least wanted to do in all of the world. And I just felt sad. Sad that in a way my own expectations and pressures had killed this childhood dream I held so closely and cared so much about. To the point now where it feels like I want to finish my book more than anything, but I don't feel like writing it. I've done this to all of my dreams, everything I care about. I've cared so deeply and put such focus that I chased every desire away, pushed every dream into a corner. I'm a perfectionist when it comes to my art, and so that's surely a part of it, but really it's my own fault, my own unconscious stress and anxiety imprinted on everything in my life at this point. It's like growing up, becoming an adult, managing realistic expectations against the temptation of these childhood dreams. It's been getting to me, and I really don't know how I feel, what direction I'm going, or where my life is leading me. As someone who's always known what I wanted and always understood the next step, for once I'm unsure, completely off balance. Maybe everything will work out. Maybe this summer is exactly what I need. I guess I don't know yet, but I know that under such pressure and stress, when there's no way out but through and not enough time to chase every dream, that the things which really matter might become clear, and I can put what little time I'll have into just those things which are really important. It's like one thing I've been learning lately, which, in a way has kind of been my salvation, is that nothing has to be perfect, whatever it is, whatever I'm doing. Honestly, nothing is perfect, and whatever I can do, whatever I'm capable of at this point, is still better than doing nothing at all. It's like in reality, I think I'm just a bit too focused on everything meeting my expectations. When I think about my book and work on my book, I'm imagining it as something already on a shelf, as the perfect product I feel like it needs to be in order to be published. When I make a YouTube video, I think about someone actually gaining something from it. If I feel like no one's watching or none of it matters, then it's hard to enjoy the act of creation itself. It's like, in a way, a lot of my desire to create is to help. I want to make some sort of difference in people's lives, however big. And I guess in a way, none of it feels good enough. None of it feels sufficient to help someone struggling the way I used to be. I'm not a selfless person necessarily, but genuinely and honestly, I think in some way, that's what it's all been about for me. I know someday I'm going to die. I know that in a way, nothing I do matters in the face of infinity. And so, from a young age, I decided that all that mattered to me, the thing that meant the most, was helping people. As someone who, at one point in time, was in a very dark place, a deep hole I never felt capable of climbing out of, I just wish that in some way I could create something someday powerful enough to try and pull someone out. To reach into that darkness and extend a hand. I know it won't be like one specific video or one specific book, but I want to create a portfolio of content through every creative expression that might present me as someone willing and trying to help. And so the people who watch and read and listen can know that at least a few people out there understand their pain and are trying to do something about it. You see, I know. I've always known what it was ultimately about, where my desire came from. But it's a heavy burden, a lofty goal. And the tools I have access to, the ways I know to help, feel inadequate. I feel inadequate and imperfect in everything I try to make or do. But I can't give up because of that, can I? I can't stop trying just because I failed and burned out and because I'm less capable than I expected. It's better to take a break than to give up, I suppose. And so for now, I guess I have some thinking to do, some questions to answer. What is it really all for? What do I care most about? And which dreams are worth chasing if you only have so much time to chase them?